Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? It's your boy Airsoftfatty, and today we have an amazing opportunity. We're here at Old South Carriage Co. to go on a beautiful tour of South Carolina, Charleston, right here, and check out a few things, learn a little bit about the town, and hopefully we'll get a chance to interview one of our drivers and have a chance to just kind of enjoy ourselves in this nice, warm, and chill kind of day. I remember back in the day, I used to look near a horse farm. There was a big old horse just like you, and he had one diamond on his face. We called him Spirit. Oh, thank you, bud. Oh, man, I tell you, I miss back when I used to live in Michigan. I had a house where it just sat right in front of an old horse farm. Is that right? So as a little kid, I used to just run up and they had this big old horse. I think it was the horse from Spirit, that movie. Call him Spirit every time I go up. He was such a beautiful beast. About the same size as your guy right here. Oh, yeah. You show them love and they do the same to you. They're like giant puppies. Yeah. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that you're aptly named.
It's huge.
Oh, you're sorry.
Kind of reminds me of that one horse movie. You ever seen Flicker?
What's it called now?
Flicker? F-L-I-K?
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh my god, I saw it when I was a little kid. It's definitely one that you might want.
Hi.
He's a big, beautiful beast,
Yeah,
too.
he's a good one.
You guys know the specific breed?
Yeah, Belgian. This is a Belgian draft horse. Yep.
Not bad.
Most of the brown ones are Belgian.
Good bass right there. And with that bucket that's in front of them, they always have access to water.
How you doing after that ride, big guy? All cooled up, bro? A little better?
Yeah.
You're such a good horse. Such a good horse.
Oh, yeah, that's the spot right there.
Henry. Yeah, the fans must feel amazing.
Good old reliable Henry.
Alrighty, and we are off. We're gonna start off our tour today by going down the steepest hill in Charleston. Are you ready for it? Here it comes, and woo! Yeah, alright, fantastic. And there it goes, and that was it, lovely. I got a little, welcome to Charleston, South Carolina, y'all, on this toasty summer's day that we've got for you in the city. My name is Mike Hicks. I'll be your tour guide today. I specify my last name because we've got 4 Mike tour guides here at Old South Carriage Company. Come on. But there is only one of this big boy up front doing all the work for us today. This is Henry, right there. And Henry is a 2,000-pound Belgian draft horse. Draft is the old Dutch word that means pull. So this is what Henry was born and bred to do, right there. And in fact, he's a descendant of the great war horses of medieval Europe. His ancestors were the only ones big and strong enough to carry knights in the battle in their full armor. And so he comes from some good stock, good ancestry, good lineage. I get asked sometimes if this is hard work for our horses. The answer is no. We get our horses from the Amish up in Ohio, so this is easy peasy for these boys compared to what the Amish had them doing before we got our hands on them. And as a matter of fact, anybody on board the carriage could pull the carriage. I can get it going myself, no problem. Even everybody on board, it supports its own weight. But that means that the trick is not starting the carriage, the trick is stopping the carriage. And that's where Henry comes in. Like this, actually, and whoa, whoa, good man. What? Oh boy. All right, now, does anybody know where we're going today? Yeah, me neither. Well, you're not wrong. Yeah. It is Charleston, yeah. But I don't know yet either. Haven't been told. So first we're gonna pull to the pillbox at the corner of the parking lot. That's the city gate, the smallest municipal building in South Carolina. And they've got this box on the left side. It's a 1960s bingo machine that the city's going to use to randomly select for us one of the 8 routes through downtown historic Charleston. It's too big to do the whole thing in 1 hour, so we're just going to get a slice of it. Find out what that slice is here in just a moment. Going to pull up and give them some tax information, namely y'all, and then we'll be on our way. All right, cool. Move it. So we got Route 5A, and before you ask me, yes, it's a good one. I would have said that regardless of the route that we got. They are all good. But Zone 5, I find this is actually useful for tourists. This is going to take us into a part of Charleston that I guarantee that you wouldn't have thought to go to otherwise on your visit to the city. So we're going to see several churches. We'll also go and see the Old City Jail, the most haunted building in Charleston. Gonna go through the gonna go through the most haunted area in the city too. Gonna go see a mansion. We'll go through the campus of the College of Charleston, and then finish up our tour by coming all the way back down past the market. So I'll tell you a lot about the market when we get back here later on. But starting off our tour here on Church Street. Anybody want to guess why it's called Church Street? There you have it. We got a winner right there, ladies and gentlemen. Nicely done, madam. Good start. Yeah, people are not clever about naming things. This is St. Philip's Anglican Church. That is to say that it is still the Church of England, established by King Henry VIII in the 16th century, which means that the head of the church in front of us remains to this day His Majesty, by the grace of God, Charles III, King of England. And that's actually the oldest congregation that we have in the city, 1680. They've been a group worshiping together since then. Not the first St. Philip's Church, though. The first one fell down from a hurricane in 1709. They rebuilt it, and then it was being threatened by the Great Fire of 1796 when a slave by the name of Old Boney bravely climbed the church and tore burning shingles off of the roof, saving it like while it was on fire. So very brave of him. And for his heroism, Old Boney was rewarded with his freedom. All right, great for him. For St. Philip's, doesn't really matter though, because it burns down to the next great fire in 1835. So this is the third St. Philip's church that we've had here in Charleston. But as we're pulling up to take a closer look at it, anyone notice anything unusual or weird about the steeple besides the scaffolding?
Windows or whatever.
Up at the top, yeah, that's how you let light into the bell tower back in the day, so you can see what you were doing. It also lets light out at night, so it acts as a sort of lighthouse from the harbor. But it's leaning. Yeah, which way? To the left. To the left is correct. Yeah, to the east. Well spotted. 4 degrees, as a matter of fact. Whoa. Really didn't go. 4 degrees. That's a result of the great earthquake of 1886, where the Charleston newspapers tell us that the city streets rippled like waves on a pond for over 70 seconds straight. We did not have a Richter scale back then. They reckon it must have been about a 7.6. Based off the description. And actually you can see on the side of that brick house over here on the left where it cracked in the middle. Right over there. That's the result of the earthquake of 1886. And we actually sit on the second most active fault line in the Americas here in Charleston. The Woodstock fault line runs from Woodstock, New York down the Appalachian Mountains and under our feet here in the city. And I don't know how long y'all are going to be in town for, but you should know that we are 39 years overdue for our next great earthquake. So fingers crossed. I'm sure to wait till y'all leave. Coming up ahead of us here on our left now, this is the old powder magazine. The oldest secular building in the city, 1713. It's been there since then. 3 feet thick walls all around and 4 tons of sand up in the ceiling, in the rafters. Soldiers weren't allowed to wear their shoes in there back in the day for fear that the nail in the sole would spark on the floor. Not ideal around gunpowder. In the event of an oopsie, the sand is designed to collapse down on top of the powder, suppressing the blast and extinguishing any subsequent fire. So it's a pretty good design on paper. I have to tell you that it does not work. We used to have 2 powder magazines of that design in Charleston, and now we have that one. The other one blew up in 1780, and the sand did its job. It collapsed down on top of the powder, but that pushed the blast outwards. Okay, not the direction that you want an explosion to be going in the city. The walls couldn't handle it, killed over 250 people, and left a crater like 200 feet wide, something like that in the ground. So no more powder in the magazine. Back to the museum these days. Although the sand is still up in the ceiling, in the rafters actually. We're going to be continuing our tour down Horrelback Alley, up yonder, crossing over Meeting Street. Before we do that though, I'm going to pass under this very special live oak tree. It's your evergreen, strong but flexible wood. This will survive hurricanes naturally. And this is my favorite tree in Charleston actually. This one's a champion at surviving hurricanes. Because as we're coming up to it, you can see that this tree sits on the smallest park in the city. Seriously, that little square there, that's Arbor Day Park, 1984. The park used to be bigger, but then in 1989, Hurricane Hugo came through, wiped out the rest of the park, but the tree survived, and so we could not bring ours to take it down. So there's guys now giving us excellent shade right there. Yeah, wait for this light. Come on, Walker. Come on. Come on. Good man. All right, so we founded Charlestown in 1670, originally over in West Ashley. Moved here in 1680, and we had the idea of giving people their religious freedom as an incentive to bring them over from the old world to the new world. As colonists, really a brand new concept at the time, religious freedom. And so according to our fundamental constitution here in Carolina, the Church of England is of course welcome, the state religion of the English Empire, as are heathens and dissenters. Okay, that includes non-Anglican Protestants, Muslims, Jews, Orthodox, pagans, pretty much anyone that worships a god is welcome here in Charlestown, but no Catholics. Any Catholics on board? Oh, okay. Several of you. Okay. Sorry. Y'all were specifically banned actually in 1708. We were afraid that any Catholic entering the city would be a spy for the Spanish Empire. And
They're on the horn.
a while ago, I had this Latina woman on board my carriage, and after I said that, she was like, "Well, wait, I'm Catholic. Am I not welcome here in Charleston?" And I said, "Well, are you a Spanish spy?" And she said, "Yes. Yes, I am." And I said, "Okay, well, there you go. I'm not going to say anything. I didn't hear anything. God save King Felipe," whatever it is. No, different times back in the day. The Spanish Empire just south of us in Florida. They still claim this land as part of their empire, as part of La Florida. And in 1706, they came in, they tried to take Charlestown. With a little bit of gunpowder negotiation, we convinced them to be on their way. But when the Spanish got here, they knew an awful lot about our defenses. They knew we had walls around the city, how big they were, how many guns we had, how many men we had in the militia. So there absolutely was a Catholic spy here in Charlestown, the information of the Spanish Empire. And after 2 years of looking for the guy, we couldn't find him, so just play it safe, just ban the Catholics. But after the French and the Spanish, Catholics won us our independence. We were like, that's fine, y'all can come too. So you're all good now here in Charleston, okay, no worries. Come on. Now, if y'all feel some popping in your ears, some altitude sickness, don't worry, it'll pass. You're crossing over the highest point of elevation in Charleston. Seriously, King Street, back there, that's the pinnacle, the peninsula, 144 inches above sea level, ladies and gentlemen. King Street was known in colonial records as being the only street in the city that did not flood during high tide at any point in the year. But it was the only street that didn't, and we are called the Low Country for a reason. But yeah, today you may have heard already, but Charleston is nicknamed the Holy City because we have more places of worship here in Charleston than any other city in America, over 180. As a matter of fact, of all different types of faiths, religions, creeds, backgrounds. Like I said, the Catholics are here now. Y'all are cool, no worries, no problem. We got Protestants, obviously, so Anglicans, Methodists, Episcopalians, Lutherans. The last French Huguenot church in America is here in Charleston. The first Baptist church founded here in 1682. Greek Orthodox, they have a very large church further up the peninsula in the Byzantine style. It's magnificent if we get a chance to see that. And Muslims and Jews are always welcome here in Charleston, so several mosques and synagogues throughout the city as well. We're coming up your left now, you have St. John's Lutheran Church. Red and white color scheme symbolizing the blood and purity of Christ. All of the Lutheran churches in Charleston have the same red and white color scheme. But take a look at their fence here. This is an original pre-Civil War wrought iron fence. So wrought iron, that indicates that every single bar, every spade, circles, twirls, diamonds, spheres, all of it wrought by hand. And this fence predates the Civil War. It's not unusual to see a wrought iron fence in Charleston. It is unusual to see one from before the Civil War, because during the Civil War, Charlestonians were encouraged to donate their iron to the Confederate Army. But Dr. John Bachman, the pastor here at the time, not the biggest supporter of the cause, so he just chose not to donate the iron fence, and so we've still got it. And in fact, his parishioners were worried that people might try to desecrate his grave after the war because of that, so they buried him on the inside of the church to keep him safe. And in fact, today he's the only person that's buried inside of a church here in Charleston. He's under the pulpit, actually. Now, something I had never seen before I came to Charleston, two churches literally right next door to each other. This next one here is the Unitarian Church, oldest congregation of Unitarians in the South, 1772. They've been here since then. They started construction of the church right away. They were interrupted a few years later by the American War for Independence. And in 1780, when the British Empire reoccupied Charlestown, they used the church here as stables for their officers' horses. They argued that it wasn't finished yet, so it's not yet holy ground. Still made them unpopular, but apparently some years ago they were digging up the floor and they had to replace it, and they found horseshoes from the King's Army. Taking a look at the graveyard, they did some landscaping around the sundial, whatnot. The rest of the graveyard might look a little overrun and unkempt. The Unitarians here are naturalists. They believe that plants should be allowed to grow as God intended them. So they keep the paths cut and clear, and if the plants go to the point where they're going to block the names and the markers, they cut them as well, but otherwise they grow as God sees fit. It's a very underrated landscaping strategy, in my opinion. It's better for your yard and for the environment, but that means that it's better for snakes and bugs too. Something that you should definitely be aware of here in Charleston, though, is the city's historic preservation ordinance. The rule in Charleston is that if it's 50 years old, it can no longer be altered or removed by the hand of man, only by the hand of God. And that's going to lead to some wacky and quirky stuff here in the city. So you might see a building that's run down, it's in rough shape, maybe even labeled unsafe to live in or be inside of. Odds are it's historically protected. And if it is, it cannot be reconstructed or renovated. It can only be restored to exactly as it looked before. And that includes the paint scheme. And you cannot do it yourself. The city selects a company. Oh, 1 second, sorry. Wait. Henry needs to pause to pass another 40,000 calories that he eats in a day. Lovely. We should let the city know about that real quick. Send them the GPS coordinates. That's what this is for. So that the city's cleanup crew duty calls. I'm going to pick that up for us. But yeah, the city selects a company that's been trained to do the restoration, and whenever possible, they'll use the same materials, tools, methods that they had available to them back in the day, which can be very expensive and take a long time. But it's your property; you have to pay for it. Now, yeah, if the place is falling apart on its own from time, weathering, collapses completely from a hurricane, maybe an earthquake, that's fair game. That's the hand of God. You don't have to restore it. All right, legally, that's not a crime, but socially, that's considered a crime in Charleston to not put some effort into it. Whoa. All right, now our Catholics on board, that's y'all down there. Told you you're welcome today. That is the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist down here. And built in the 1820s, it's made out of imported Connecticut brownstone. During the Great Fire of 1861, everyone around here had the bright idea to put their furniture inside the cathedral to save it from the flames. And that's fine, but what happens if you take a stone structure and you surround it with fire? What does that structure become?
An oven.
Yeah, it becomes an oven. Yeah, it gets very hot on the inside very quickly. It got so hot on the inside that some of the wooden furniture spontaneously combusted and created this explosion that blew the steeple off the top of the cathedral and melted the stained glass windows. Now, we have fire insurance in Charleston. They forgot to make their payment the week before. Yeah, they got nothing. It was a rough day. It took them over 60 years to rebuild the cathedral proper, just one donation at a time. And I've made it to Mass there a couple times, and I recommend that y'all check it out. Whether you're Catholic or not, it's magnificent on the inside. The ceiling is painted as the night sky, which God showed to Abraham when he promised that his children would number as the stars in the sky. The stained glass windows rival those that I've seen in the cathedrals of Europe. They do have a relic in there, part of the earthly remains of St. Catherine of Siena. and stars etched into the stone on the side of the cathedral, each one allegorically representing someone who donated to the cathedral to have it rebuilt. And it's covered in those stars except for the steeple, which you'll notice is a much lighter shade of reddish brown than the rest of the cathedral is. All right, that's because it's much newer. So the story is that in 1931 we passed the Historic Preservation Ordinance. 1932, the Catholics there finally have enough money to get a steeple, so they go to put it up top, and the city comes out and says, whoa, hang on a second. The cathedral is historically protected now. So if y'all want to restore it, you'll have to do so according to its original specifications. Y'all need to prove that there was a steeple up there originally. All right, there is no proof. Everyone, from before the Great Fire of 1861 is gone by then. Any plans for the building would have been burned up in the explosion. So the Catholics there spent the better part of the next century in court, arguing with and trying to prove to the city that there had been a steeple up there originally to no avail. They even went to the Vatican to try to find the blueprints in Rome, but no dice. His Holiness the Pope could not help them. And they continued to struggle like that all the way up until 2010. That's when they finally got that steeple back up there. Because our mayor at the time, Joseph P. Riley Jr., just so happened to be Irish Catholic, and he was like, yeah, that's fine, go put the steeple, no problem.
Like having friends in high places.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm glad they have it now. It's very open to the top to allow hurricane winds to blow through without knocking it over. They don't want to lose it again. That's the longest that a cathedral has been without a steeple in the history of the Catholic Church. Back there for that reason. Now, I don't know if they have them where y'all are from. Half addresses. On the corner right here, this is 130 and a half Queen Street. 130 is right behind it. This indicates that used to be two separate structures on the same property, that 130 was the primary residence, and 130 and a half was either the old servants' quarters or the old kitchen house. And later on, when they want to sell the structure on the corner as a new property, they don't want to have to renumber all the properties on the street, so they go with half addresses. Now, we still have A's and B's and all that, different dwellings, same structure, same property, but that's what a half address indicates. You'll see a lot of that in the city. My favorite address in Charleston, we won't be seeing it on our tour today, but you can go see it for yourself later on. It's on South Battery Street. It's 61 and 1/4. South Battery, that is a real address in Charleston. Now, over on your right, a spectacular example of a Charlestonian, not a yard, we're fancy from Charleston. All right, good job. And an immaculate example of our state flag there, indigo blue field, white palmetto tree, white crescent. It's actually on a palmetto tree. And I can tell you more about that later if you like, but this house over here on the left, 149 Queen Street, leaning to the right and towards the street pretty clearly. That's the result of the earthquake of 1886. So that house in the 1800s, right there. Now you would never guess it, but the house that's right next to the pink door right there, 151 Queen Street, 2020, that house was built there, and that's actually one of the younger houses that we have today in the city. It's not unusual to see that in Charleston. A house from the 19th century, literally right next door to one from the 21st century. Now over here on your right, on either side of this pathway, these red trees, cinnamon crepe myrtle trees. Right there. And then over here on your left, you have vanilla crepe myrtle tree. And they actually don't have bark. The outer layer of the trunk peels off over time. Here in the summer, it reveals the, especially with the cinnamon, that deep, cinnamon, almost velvet red. Right there, wood. Now across the street on the side of that house right there, that's on the wall, Japanese creeping fig. It's not an ivy, so it does not damage what it grows on. Holds on by little spores, like little tiny suction cups that we use as decoration here in the city. And you're going to see a lot of that in Charleston, the crepe myrtle trees, the creeping fig. They look like they fit right at home here in the city, and they do. Been here a long time, but not native to Charleston or to America. Actually, they come to us from Asia. We have a lot of Asian plants in the city. The story is that in the 1780s, this guy named Andre Michaud, he was a court botanist, a royal gardener for King Louis XVI of France. He was traveling the world and collecting the finest specimens of plants that he could get his hands on, with the object of returning them to Louis XVI as a gift at his palace in Versailles. So in 1792, Andre stops off here in Charleston on the way back to his home country. And when he gets here, he's like, oh boy, I can't wait to get back to Versailles and give these plants as a gift to Louis XVI. And we were like, oh man, we got some bad news for you, boy. Louis XVI guillotined in January 1792 as part of the French Revolution. Andre had not heard yet. We had to break the news to him. And Andre's afraid that as a member of the royal household, if he returns to France, he's also going to be guillotined. So he decides to stay here in Charleston. So we get the cinnamon crepe myrtle tree, the vanilla crepe myrtle tree, the Japanese creeping fig, the Chinese tallow, the yellow jasmine, the tea olive, the ginkgo, the Japanese maple. These plants are meant for the Palace of Versailles as a gift to the King of France. Charleston gets them instead. Lucky us. All right, now I told you we're going to see it, so here it is over on your right, the Old City Jail, the most haunted building in South Carolina. I don't know what building would be more haunted than this in the country, but opened for business, as it were, in 1802. The conditions inside were notoriously, infamously awful. Single cell rooms meant to house 1, 2, up to 5 prisoners. We were stuffing like 15 men into each of those cells, packed so tightly that they could not lie down at night to sleep. The glass on the windows is new. It used to just be open iron bar. This all used to be swamp. So in the summer, clouds of mosquitoes would take flight, go straight through those bars and plague the inmates on the inside, spreading yellow fever, malaria, all types of horrible bloodborne diseases. At one point, the average life expectancy for a prisoner here was 3 months. And if your sentence is longer than that, which it probably is, that's pretty much game over. And that's the average. Some people didn't last a week in there. At the same time, the average life expectancy for a prison guard, only a year. And for his family, who lived here with him. And between 1802 and 1939, when the jail was shut down, over 14,000 men who were not sentenced to death died in this building. That number does not include the ones who were sentenced to death. We got rid of in the backyard. Now, a little over a year ago, I was coming by, I was giving a tour, and this couple was getting married right over there, where I think the old gallows used to be. Right there. I was like, what y'all doing?
So what did they use this for now?
Great question. So it doesn't look too shabby. The old city jail and the yard being as spooky as haunted as it is. For whatever reason that escapes me, 6 years ago the city decided to sell the jail. There are going to be offices now. Yes, people are going to be working their 9 to 5 in those cells where those prisoners languished and perished day after day for 137 years. And the bars on the window are protected. Historically, we can't touch them. That's going to be their view to the outside world from their office. Right there, yeah.
That's pretty much work anyway.
Yeah.
Just trading one type of prisoner for another.
Exactly, yeah. If your job feels like jail, then
Here's for you.
I was told, I don't know, I'm not 100% sure if this is true or not, but I was also told that before it was the opposite, it was a preschool.
No.
Which, yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
Little Johnny was in the corner talking to his imaginary friend. We could probably get out of here.
Right.
Now the bottom floor is still intact, so you can still take an old city jail tour down there. They're like 9:30 at night, and I'm not a particularly superstitious guy. It's pretty spooky in there. The turnover rate for the tour guides here is high. As far as I know, they only have 5 like at any one time. That's like the most, because someone has to be the last person in there at night to lock up, and they determine who that is every day by drawing straws. And when I went in there, they told me this one time it was this girl working here. It was her first day, and on her first day, she drew the short stick.
Oh no.
And so she's going through, she's locking up, turning off the lights, and she's on her way out when from inside of one of the cells, someone whispered her name to her. And so she booked it, no call, no show, the next day. So yeah, I'm cool. I'm good. I don't want to do that. But the jail was shut down in 1939 to build this right here. This is federal housing. As part of FDR's New Deal, Roosevelt wanted to turn Charleston back into a military port in preparation for World War II. So this originally meant to house sailors, dock workers, officers, naval service members, their families, that sort of thing. But as they look over here on your right, these doors, this color, you're going to see a lot of this in Charleston. This is paint blue, H-A-I-N-T. Paint is a Gullah word. The Gullah are the local black Charlestonian population descended from the enslaved peoples brought across the Middle Passage from West Africa. Paint is their word that translates literally to haunt, so ghost or spirit. And the Gullah believe that a haint cannot cross over the heavens, the clear blue sky. So they paint their doors, shutters, and porch ceilings this color to fool haint anything that they can't get in. And you can see a lot more of them over yonder, the haint blue doors. There's the Gullah families that moved in here in the 40s. And their descendants, some of them are still here now, they do not mess around. Because this right here, this is the most haunted area in the state of South Carolina, if not the country. Before it was this federal housing, this used to be what you would call an old potter's field. A potter's field is where you would bury your common dead, prisoners of war, people you can't identify, people whose families can't afford a plot for you in a graveyard or a cemetery. And those 14,000 men that died in the old city jail, we threw them out here too. So underneath you right now, underneath the playgrounds, right there, literally tens of thousands of bodies. People that we've been burying out here from 1680 to 1939. Second Take Coffee right here. I can't recommend them pretty good coffee. You can see they aren't taking any chances. They painted the whole building paint blue. Right there. And I can't say that I blame them. Charleston is the most haunted city in America. Now, for whatever reason, Savannah, Georgia, and New Orleans, Louisiana, they like to say that they are the most haunted cities in America. Okay, they are dirty, dirty liars. You're not listening to them. Okay, we were here first. That makes us older. That makes us more haunted. I don't know why they say that. But we do have a Gullah tour guide that works for our company. Her name is Sarah. She told me that her uncle lives out here that she went to come visit him one day, stayed longer than she meant to, ended up spending the night. She told me she ain't never spending the night out here ever again. She told me that most of the spirits out here are evil because a lot of them were the convicted criminals from the old city jail, and the rest of them are confused. It's been so long since they died that nobody remembers who they are anymore, and they don't even remember who they were, and they're not happy about that. I mean, we're good right now. Clear blue sky, heavens above, the haints are dormant, but come this evening, if y'all want to see a haint, that's where y'all go. Oh my God, there. My favorite part of Charleston, you know, I suppose it depends on the day, the time of year. Right now in the summer, the Battery is a great place to be. It's right on the edge of the peninsula, so you're going to be catching the breeze from the Ashley, the Atlantic River, the Cooper River. The Ashley River, the Atlantic Ocean, Cooper River. But another cool place is the market. When we get back there, I'll tell you all about that. Too. You can find just about anything that you think of on the market. And And at night, if you're trying to party, King Street is where you want to go. That's where all the bars are. A good place to be. But there's something everywhere in the city. Now, I will tell you that pretty much everything south of Broad Street is residential. But that's also, the reason for that is because that's the coolest, literally, part of the city. Between the barn, where we started the tour, and the Battery, the end of the peninsula, could like 5 to 10 degrees temperature difference because of the breeze that we catch. In fact, the Native Americans who were here when the settlers arrived, we got along with them really well. Actually, they invited us to settle here, specifically Chief Cacique of the Kiowa. Many people call this place where Charleston is today Chicora, or the land of the healing breeze. And I mean, I live over in West Ashley, across the Ashley River, and you know, if it's 95 here, it could be over 100 degrees in West Ashley, just across the river. Yeah, I mean, is there? It also depends on like what you want to do, where you want to go in Charleston. Depends on how long you're going to be here too. On a hot day like today, I would actually suggest the South Carolina Aquarium. That's a really good place. We have the second deepest tank in North America, and it's right on the Cooper River, so you can like go and like pet like stingrays and like hold like sea urchins and starfish, and you'll see a dolphin or a shark out in the Cooper River. It's pretty cool. Also, any one of our museums, the Charleston Museum on Meeting Street is the first museum in America, and because of that, you know, they've got some really old artifacts from different places. They have an Egyptian mummy in there that because back in the day, like a gentleman, you know, who was a scholar, he would go off on a grand tour, and when he would go somewhere, you know, he would. You know, if he found like an archaeological site, he would take something from there and bring it back with him, and he donated it to the museum, so we still got it. But a lot of cool stuff in there.
What year was that donated?
Donated? It must have been the mid 19th century. I can't recall exactly, but like in the mid 1800s. They also have a stuffed polar bear. This guy went to the Arctic, and he killed a polar bear in self-defense, and so he just brought it back with him. It's huge. It's massive. Definitely worth seeing that. Oh, on your left up ahead of us here, these bars, studs, circles, different designs, same purpose. They're all earthquake bolts right there. So after the Great Earthquake of 1886, a lot of the buildings in Charleston were split in half, falling apart down the middle like we saw at the beginning of the tour. And what we did was we took iron rods and ran them through the floors and the ceiling to the length and or width of the house. And then gave those iron rods about a quarter turn or so every month. And so like braces, straightening teeth, they slowly bring the house back together, straighten it out. And so if you see earthquake bolts on the side of a building here in Charleston, virtually guaranteed that structure has been there since at least August of 1886. It's an easy way to date the buildings in the city. I say virtually guaranteed because after the earthquake, some people like to look at the bolts so much that they put fake ones on the outside of the house as decoration. When we get back towards the barn at the end of the tour, I'll point some out to you. Some fake earthquake bolts.
I know you mentioned earlier a lot of hauntings at the jail. Have you personally experienced anything like that?
No, I can't say that I have, but the Old South Carriage Company, as a group, we went, and a few of the more supernaturally inclined took what is it, like EEG or something like reading exactly, yeah, they took some readings with him, and they got some hits. There are some pretty spooky photographs, like old photographs in there, and intelligent, like educated people who have like no reason to lie, like have some pretty convincing stories. They told me that one time this guy he couldn't believe any of it, and he was just laughing at them the whole time that they were telling him about it. And after he leaves, he goes out to his car, and he gets in and he adjusts the rearview mirror, and someone was sitting in his back seat, and he turned around to look, and there was no one there. And they said that this same guy that had been making fun of them the whole time that he was in the jail came back crying and refused to leave until they purified him with sage, which apparently they keep on the property for that reason, actually. So. Like I said, I have no idea. I've never experienced anything like that myself, not at the jail. Anyway, but that all makes complete sense to me, But you used to be able to pay to spend the night in there, and several ghost hunter TV shows have been to the Old City jail back in the day before they changed it to the offices. Whoa, boy. But that mansion that I mentioned that we're going to see, that's it right here. This is the Wentworth Mansion, named after Wentworth Street, built by Francis Silas Rogers in 1886 for himself, his wife, and his 13 kids.
Oh, sheesh.
Yeah. Now, ironically, none of the kids ever lived here. They were all married by the time the mansion was finished. So it was just him and his wife. And I can't imagine that. I can't imagine living in a place like this with just you and your spouse. Y'all might not see each other for days. But made out of imported Philadelphia brick. Brick from Charleston. And it's considered to be of poorer quality compared to brick from elsewhere in the Union. If Rogers had the bricks made here in Charleston in 1886, each brick would have cost him a penny. But by importing them from Philadelphia at the time, each brick cost him $1. So it's hard to say exactly how much the mansion cost him to build. Made in the Second Empire style, French, under the reign of Napoleon III, hence the fleur-de-lis on the gate right there. And like all rich people did back in the day. In fact, if you go through the city, you see like mansions or just like really nice houses. Rich people back in the day left hints about how they made their money on the outside of the house. For this one, it's in the iron fence right here. This is rice, right here. And then under the windows in the masonry, that's the bloom of the cotton plant from the top perspective, right there. So that's how he made his money, was cotton and rice. Open arm staircases, symbol of hospitality and welcoming here in Charleston. Ladies, it is considered proper form for y'all to go up on the right. Gentlemen, proper form for us to go up on the left. Does anyone want to guess why? Because, women are always right. You should have said it. Yeah, I thought I could feel that somebody wanted to say it, but no, there you go. Yeah, you came around to it. But no, that saying actually it comes from the rivers and hoop dresses, very wide back in the day. And she's over the top of the stairs, and a gentleman follows her up behind. He can see her ankles, and that's very scandalous back in the day. So it's still considered proper form to go up separate sides if you're able. Fountain is a cistern on the roof that collects rainwater and disperses it through pipes in the house. So that's the first house with running water on the inside in Charleston's history right there. The house right next to it on the corner is also historically significant. This is the first house with indoor plumbing in the city, so Charleston's first toilet can be found inside of there. You'll never guess where the guy put it in the late 1800s. Yes, that's correct. Nicely done. He put it in the living room. Yes.
Show it off.
Well, with no walls around it, because the concept of the toilet predates the concept of the bathroom, and it made complete sense to him to put it in the middle of the living room. And as far as I know, it's still in there, in the middle of the room with no walls on it. Now, it's privately owned. I don't know the people or anything like that, and I haven't built up the courage to go knock on their gate or anything to ask them. But actually, you should know that 95% of the houses in Charleston are single-family residences, privately owned. Yeah, which is actually important that you know that people that come here that are not from historic cities, they assume that that's not the case. Actually, I've had two different people from San Francisco. When they got here, they told me, oh wow, we assumed that all the old houses and churches were museums now. And it's important that you know that that's not the case, because every now and then as a tour guide in Charleston, you'll hear about a tourist just walking into someone's house, thinking that it's a museum. I was like, is this where I sign up for the tour? I was like, no, this is where you sign up to get out of my house. He was like, don't do that. That is illegal in Charleston. That's called breaking and entering, technically. Now this house over here on the right, this building, it cracked from the Great Earthquake of 1886. These wooden boards are the only thing that's holding it up right there. They never put earthquake bolts through it. And now it's historically protected, they can't add earthquake bolts. And the city recently just decided to, by the way, the inside of the homes, the inside of the buildings are fair game. So they're all up to modern code standards and specifications and all that. And I gotta tell you, when they were working on the inside there, they found asbestos on the inside. And so that could be a problem with old buildings around here. But we're crossing now into the campus of the College of Charleston, as indicated by the flags and the lampposts right here. This is the oldest municipal college in the country since 1770. They've been here since the British Empire. This is working my master's in history, by the way. I forgot to mention that. I am a historian. But yeah, a great place to go to school. Andrew Jackson's mother is buried somewhere on the campus. Grace Episcopal Church right here. This is the last church to close its doors during the Civil War. During the Civil War, Charleston was blockaded by the Union Navy and subjected to the longest bombardment in human history for 587 consecutive days. The Yankees shelled us. And the pastor here felt that closing the doors of service would be a sign of surrender to the Union. So he continued to hold service under fire until one day a cannonball hit the church. It went through the steeple, through the roof, and landed right next to him at the pulpit. And he said, well, folks, I reckon if there was ever a sign from God, that was it.
Yeah, that's kind of okay, buddy, go home.
Yeah, that's it. Let's call it there, yeah. Over here on your right, these are some of the fraternity and sorority houses for the College of Charleston. Right here. As the campus was expanding, the college just bought the buildings around it. And the main campus is down yonder on that way on Glebe Street. The president's house, the president of the college, his house is actually on that Glebe Street right there. And they're all historically protected. Details right here too. The city's putting an awful lot of faith in these fraternities and sororities. But apparently they've done a good job. I haven't heard anything terrible scandals. Yeah, some of them serve as faculty buildings. In fact, the house in the corner up here on your left, that's the Department of Sociology and Anthropology. Coming up on your right, on the corner, you have Cersei's Grotto. That's where the cool kids come for lunch. They're known for their sandwiches, salads, paninis. Whoa. They're closed today and tomorrow. The sidewalk, splitting it, cracking it, eating it, growing out into the street. There is nothing by law the hand of man can do to alter the root structure or bring the tree down. Only the hand of God can do that now, which I think is really cool, because that means that we have these trees everywhere in Charleston that are 50, 75 years, 100 years old. Older than that. The ones in the battery are over 170 years old. They predate the Civil War. So that's really cool, but I don't know what we're going to do. Like 50, 75, 100 years from now. These trees are not going to stop growing, and I don't know what the plan is. I suspect that there is no plan, actually, but that's not my problem.
Well, I mean, there's God's plan.
Huh?
I mean, there's God's plan, ain't there?
Yeah, hand of God, yeah, I imagine. So I've heard several suggestions, like raising the sidewalk or just putting a wooden platform above the whole thing, but whatever. Like I said, not my problem. I probably won't be here by then anyway. But, 100 years from now. I'll that's a safe bet to me, I think. But over here on the right, you have Miminger Elementary School, named after Christopher Miminger. We had a call on a central bomb squad that we have in Charleston that deals specifically with historical munitions to come defuse them, take them off site and dispose of them. 7 generations of kids have been playing on top of those bombs, jumping up and down and skipping rock. Yeah, this city's so great, dude. It's so awesome. Now over here on the right, you have Target. No, we're not that full of ourselves. It's just Target. Whoa, there, boy. Although probably the fanciest Target in the world. I think I'm right in saying that it's the only Target in the world that sits on the same street as Gucci and Louis Vuitton. But you actually, Gucci's on the bend down there at the end of the street, and then you got Louis Vuitton right here, and then you got Target. Right there. You've also got Christian Michi, vintage 1920s clothing store. These dresses are all works of art. And they are on sale. They are having a sale. One of those dresses was on sale for a cool $7,000.
Steal.
Yeah. Now, on our last leg of the tour, coming back towards the market, any other questions so far about anything?
Where's your favorite spot for lunch?
My favorite spot for lunch? Ooh.
On a hot day like today.
Open on a Sunday.
It's open on a Sunday.
It's open on Sunday? All right, well, not Chick-fil-A then.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
I'm kidding. No,
Exactly.
I'm kidding. No, don't go to Chick-fil-A while you're in Charleston. So once again, arch entryways for animals. This used to be the meat market right here, up at the front. This enclosed area, back in the day, this white section, produce, fresh fruits and vegetables and the like for sale. Up ahead and ways, dry goods, trinkets, and down at the end of the market, the harvest of the seed was available. Oh yeah, he's better than I am. Nice. Hey, how about an applause for Henry? Everybody, he did such a good job on our tour today. Yes, sir. Good man. And there you go. All right, y'all are good to disembark. Thank you so
Wait
kindly
for
for
them.
joining us
Chris,
today.
wait.
Please enjoy the rest of your stay here in Charleston. And if you would like a Henry trading card, let me know. I'm happy to give one to you.
I'll take
And yes, sir, absolutely. And feel free to pet Henry when you go past him. He'd like that very much. Absolutely. There you go. Yeah, thank you very much. If he shares his water with you, he'll share his water with you, by the way. You can feel it there, so you have a heads up there. Absolutely. There you go. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you kindly.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we just had ourselves an amazing tour here today, and I have a rare opportunity to pull aside our driver and ask a few questions. And I'd like to take a second, let him introduce himself, and talk for a moment while I pull up everything and get ready for the interview here. So why don't you tell the people about yourself and how you got into doing tours like this?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Mike Hicks, and I got my bachelor's in history from Clemson University. Go Tigers! And I got my master's in history here in Charleston, at the College of Charleston in the Citadel, and fell in love with the city. And I actually started training to be a tour guide in 2020, and then COVID hit, and so I had to leave the city for a little bit, but came back. And this job's it's a historian's dream. You get to go around and just talk about history all day, hang out with those horses, love those guys, and meet some really cool people too.
No, it's awesome. It's awesome. So I've got a series of 11 questions here that I'm going to ask you. And be as honest as you like, or heck, if you want to tell little white lies, hey, it's the internet, my friend. That being said, as a coach driver and a tour guide, could you tell some of the viewers back home what kind of drives you to do your work? Like, what's that motivator when you get up? Is there like for some teachers, right? They look at their students and they're like, "This is why I do this every freaking day."
Yeah, well, actually, I got to tell you, I used to be a teacher.
Really?
Yeah, 8th grade social studies, and I make more money doing this than I did as a teacher, and it's actually, this is less stressful than being a teacher. It's the same thing with those, like when I was teaching those students. There's like a moment where you say something and everyone's like, whoa, like it really pops.
Yeah.
You see it in their eyes, and then they start asking questions, and I sort of see myself as the introduction to a lot of people to the city.
Right.
And there's nowhere else like Charleston in this half of the world, really. So I really love being that introduction for those people.
No, that's something I've come to notice while our stay here, is that this place is a very historically significant area for sure. For a second question here, do you think that this would be something simple for someone to get into and do as a tour guide for their town, or would you say that there's a lot of skill gaps and ceilings that you got to break through in order to get into something like this and be at your level where you're good and you're actually entertaining through the whole thing?
Good question. No, I wouldn't say that there's a big skill gap. Because I have my degrees in history, I have that background. But just because you know a lot about this history doesn't mean that would make you a good tour guide.
Right.
But you still have to know your stuff. There are plenty of people, plenty of tour guides out there that don't have a degree, but they make a great tour guide. And especially if you're still in your hometown, being a tour guide for your hometown is just like a little. I feel like I'm doing a little bit of a service actually to the city.
Yeah.
Sharing it off to people. So anybody can do it if you just have the personality for it and it's something that you want to do. Absolutely.
I think that was beautifully put, my friend. That was beautifully put. Now, as a coach driver and a guide, have you developed a personal relationship with some of the animals you work with? For example, right how, back in the day there was the show, Wilbur Post and Mr. Ed the Talking Horse. Have you had any horses that you come close bond with like that?
Yeah, I got a few of them that they're my buddies in there. I like Henry, he's a great horse. Winston, he's one of our bigger horses. he's always happy to see me. When I say his name, his ear perks around, and he seems happy to see me. And Jordan is our biggest horse. He's the alpha of the herd, and he and I get along really well too. But yeah, I love working with these guys. We take good care of them. They take good care of us.
So I guess one more for the city, right, is as a driver, right, you're enthusiastic, you tell us about all the places you love, but are there any parts of town where you're kind of like, I maybe don't like this spot as much, or I don't go here as much, just for any reason?
I wouldn't say so. Of the 8 routes that we have, they're all good in different ways. You know, it depends on the crowd, and the city is, like I said, it's very unique. Everywhere that you go, there's something. Every building has a story. Here, even the ones that were built recently still there's a story behind it, something like that. So no, Charleston, and it's a very walkable city. I just walk around everywhere. The city's great, and I wouldn't say that there's any part that I don't prefer. Actually, it's all good.
Sounds like you found a really nice place for yourself here, man. A lot of people are into supercars, right? Lamborghinis, Porsches, Ferraris. So as a coach driver, would you ever find yourself enamored by one of those coaches if, Lamborghini or Ferrari decided, hey, we're going to produce horse coaches now? Would you be one of those guys that's like, yes, Ferrari? Or would you be like, really, you're getting into the game, like you're more advanced than this?
That's funny. I hadn't considered that if Ferrari made a carriage. I would want to see it. I'd want to see what Ferrari, what the best they have to offer is. I mean, besides they got a horse for their logo anyway.
Exactly.
So that would work out. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Ferrari and Lamborghini had some sort of background with horses. But I'm more of a historian, not so much of a car guy. But yeah, that'd be cool to see. I will say that's one of my favorite parts about this job is seeing all the cool cars people drive around the city. Anyway.
All right, and then another just kind of fun one here. A lot of rap artists used to be all about spinning rims on their cars, right?
Yeah.
If that was an option for horse carriages, would you want to have that on your horse carriage?
That's a good question. I'd say no because it might actually spook the horse.
Really?
Yeah, they're as big as they are. They're naturally prey animals.
Right.
And so it's funny what kind of spooks, and they all have a different personality. Like Winston, for example, he doesn't like puddles. Really? Because he can't quite see the bottom, and he doesn't know how deep it is. Floating trash is also something that spooks them because they know that like a trash bag or like a plastic bag, it's an inanimate object, but it's moving on its own, and they don't know why. And also, with as intense as the sun is out here, if we had spinning wheels, that might just blind people too. So no, we don't need anything that flashy. That would be funny if we had one though. If we had one that was like that.
Or even just had one that just kind of sat there, kind of just as like a come take a picture with type of thing.
That would be. I'll have to suggest that to the boss. Actually, that's a good idea.
Let's end it off for our final question here. As a very happy individual, as someone who's found their kind of niche in life, do you have any advice for people out there who maybe either A, they might be struggling to find that niche, or even B, maybe they're struggling to keep that motivation to keep going into that niche they want to get into?
I got lucky. It's hard. I didn't always know that what I wanted to do, and like I said, I was a teacher at first. I thought that's what I was going to do for the rest of my life, and I can always still go back into it. The bottom line is that I'm 30 years old, but I got plenty of time ahead of me, and so I would say just relax. Just every day do what makes you happy, because that's the most important thing in life. Money's going to come, money's going to go, but we're here for a good time, not a long time. So and when you find what makes you happy, stick with it. And because if you enjoy doing what you do, you don't work a day in your life.
That right there, there's no other wiser way you could put that than the very words this man has just spoke. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to take a moment to thank our friend here for coming on and giving us some of his time. And I really hope you guys take a chance to come down to South Carolina, whether you're coming here for the ride or you just happen to be in town checking it out. This place is amazing. It's always popping, and you've got amazing people here that are happily able to tell you about every little thing in town. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, my man.
Thank you. You too. Appreciate you guys coming.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we just got done with our ride here with the good old boy Henry. Big old beautiful horse. Thank you, my friend, very much for that ride. And I'm telling you guys, it is a beautiful day out here in South Carolina. If you're ever looking to do something or you happen to be a little bored, I'm telling you there is a myriad of options, my friend, a myriad. That being said, hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's video, and without further ado, I'm gonna let you guys go, and hopefully you've been inspired to come check the place out and really just come check South Carolina out in general. That being said, I got a peace on out, so remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and to check those descriptions. I'm telling you, we put a lot of beautiful links down there just for you. That being said, I'm a peace out. Henry, enjoy you a good drink, bro.